This month I was supposed to get better render times and failed, but I did hit a nice number of episodes, so let's talk about that instead. So for ages, I could not come up with what I wanted to talk about in this podcast, and then about 5 minutes before I started recording, I realised that I did have something to talk about. The only thing I could think of was the burgers, but I already talked about that in my video about burgers. I literally could not think of anything else I'd done this month. It was mostly just spent tidying my room, tidying the house, bringing things from the house here, and then making space so things fit now. I've got a nice little sort of U-shaped desk now. But yeah, I just could not think of anything I'd done. And then, like I say, about 5 minutes before I came to record, I realised that it was this month that I installed my GPU. In last month's podcast, I spoke about getting the GPU, but I hadn't installed it then, had I? Whereas now I have. And it was a bit of a mess, so I'll tell you about that now. I mentioned that I couldn't remember where my 12-volt high-power cable was, but I managed to find it. I said I was looking for a third 8-pin, but my PSU did come with a 12-volt high-power cable, so I've used that in the end. I was saying that I couldn't remember where it was and I had no idea and I might have to buy one, and it turns out that it was just next to me. The power supply box was just next to me and I'd been using it as a table, just with a monitor on it, and I just completely forgot. So, one day, I just sat down and glanced to the side and realised it was there, and it took me about 5 minutes after that. So, swapped the power cables out, took my old GPU out, put the new one in. It was way bigger. I was a bit worried that it wouldn't actually fit. It's mostly because my PC has two, basically, usable PCIe slots. One for my graphics card and the other for my capture card. And the new GPU is so big it almost touches my capture card. Luckily, it just doesn't. But I was a bit worried at first. But yeah, it went in and seemed okay. And then I turned it on and it made an incredibly loud noise. And then I just got a black screen. And I can't really describe the sort of overwhelming disappointment that comes with that feeling of finishing a job and then immediately realising that not only is it not finished, you've actually got more work to do. But yeah, it actually ended up being fine. I have no idea why I had a black screen. That only happened the once. I assume it was just training or something, but yeah, it happened once and never again. And it turns out that the really loud noise was when you turn your computer on, it blasts all the fans basically and then ramps them down. And then when I launched games every now and again, I get a really loud noise. And it turns out that the GPU support bracket was just catching on one of the fan blades. So I just moved it, and now everything's fine. Well, I say that. It's not, but we'll get there. Installed my drivers, and I had a weird problem at first where I'd launch a game, usually Final Fantasy XIV actually, and I'd launch it, and it would immediately crash, and then I'd launch it again and everything would be fine. And it would do it every single time, because obviously this process required me to turn my computer off a few times, while I was doing the drivers and shit like that. But I turned it on the first time just to check, and it crashed, and then worked the second time. On the next boot, did it again, exact same behaviour. And then 3 or 4 times later, just stopped doing it, hasn't done it since. Now, it's also relevant to the story that I did this on the last day of the month, days when I wouldn't have been making videos, because, I don't know if I've ever explained, but I make all my videos ahead of time, except for on the first of the month when I make my videos for that day, because it's just in case my outro changes or anything, in case I get any or lose any patrons, stuff like that. So, the last couple of days of the month are the only day I've got to work on my computer, because those are the days when I don't need it to render immediately. So, I had everything ready. In games, everything was fine. My computer now runs cooler and quieter because the GPU itself doesn't get as hot, so it's not blasting the fans all the time. It's also not outputting as much heat into the case, which used to make my CPU heat up. So overall, my computer is actually now running better than it used to, which is a good thing. Sorry if you hear any noises, there's a storm outside. It's the end of March and we're getting snow. But yeah, it runs better, it sounds better, my games are running better, everything seemed great. And then it gets to the first, and I'm okay, need a video for today. And I had a load banked, so I set them all up. When I record a video, for my LPs mostly. I record a video, I edit it, and then if I need it that month, I render it and upload it straight away. And if I don't, I just record it and edit it, and then save it. And then on the start of the month, I'll bring them all out, render all of them, and upload all of them, basically. I did that when I render, because I'd render on that day I was rendering 11 or so videos at once, which isn't totally out of the normal. But yeah, I was rendering quite a few videos at once. So I will tell it to render and then just go and sit on the sofa and do whatever, play RuneScape, something like that. I'm actually playing RuneScape right now while I record this. I'm making some bows. Yeah, so I went and sat on the sofa, played some RuneScape, and about half an hour later I looked over and it was still on the first video, which isn't always a bad sign because it tends to take about half the length of a video to render. So if the video's an hour, it will take about half an hour. But it was a quarter of the way through the video. And I was well, this is weird. So I let it finish that one because I needed it. But that took over an hour. I think it was about an hour and 10 minutes in the end. So when that video ended, rather than letting it do all the rest, I went and had a look, and I realized that it was doing software encoding. Now, software encoding means that it doesn't use your GPU. It just encodes off your CPU, which is way slower. I needed that video for 12 o'clock that day, so I just cancelled the other renders and uploaded that one and had a look at my Premiere. And Premiere and Media Encoder and After Effects, nothing would recognize my new GPU, which is a problem. Because, like I say, I make like 3 videos a day. I render a lot of videos. And we're talking like nearly 1.5 times the length of a video to render a video versus when it used to be about half the length. So it's like a significant increase in the render times. And it's obviously not something I could deal with. But at the same time, it was the first of the month and I needed videos for that day, so I didn't have time to fix it. Which is also why, if you notice any issues in my videos at the start of the month, that's why. I think anything up to Victor Van Motorhead Through the Ages video, I think is the last one I rendered using the software encoding, and that one also I know for a fact has a problem, but I couldn't fix it. That is the last one I rendered using software encoding. So any problems you notice in a video up to then, that's probably why. I tried some things, like I tried to force it through console to recognize, and it just didn't work. And in the end, I had to reinstall all the Adobe suite, which it's not a big deal, but I just don't like touching things if I don't have to. Like, if it works, I just leave it, usually. Unless it gets, like, significant new features, which it didn't. Adobe still don't have AV1 encoding or decoding, which was, like, the main thing I was holding out for in the hopes of, like, I'll upgrade when that happens, and it still hasn't happened. It's been, like, fucking 4 years or something, and they just still haven't done it. But yeah, so I reinstalled it, and it works. So that's good. Except I'm actually still getting worse render times, which I'm really confused by. Now, I wasn't expecting significantly better render times. I was expecting, like, maybe a couple of seconds. Like, a little bit. But I'm actually getting worse render times. I said before, it used to take about half an hour to render a video. Now it takes, like, 31 minutes. So it's not a huge difference. But I don't understand why at all. I have a more powerful GPU with just more of everything. And I've looked at, like, other people's benchmarks comparing 3080s to 5080s. And the 5080 is supposed to be better. But it's just not. It's just worse. And I have no idea why. The only thing I can think is that between the versions of Premiere I was using, Premiere has got worse. That's all I can think of. It works now, and my games are all better, so it's mostly an improvement. I am having a problem where my main monitor will occasionally just go black for a few seconds. It's weird because it's just the monitor, because in recording, nothing goes wrong. I read that it might be a problem with G-Sync, but I tried turning G-Sync off and it didn't seem to do anything. I also vaguely remember this actually happening when I got this monitor with my 3080. I had the 3080, then I got this monitor, and I remember this problem happening then. And then just after a bit, it stopped. And now I've upgraded from a 3080 to the 5080, but I'm still using the same monitor, and I think hopefully it'll just stop again, but I don't know what it is. I don't know what the problem is. And then I had another problem where, actually, it's 2 problems, both using the NVIDIA app. So I'll mention them in the order they happened. I got a copy of Resident Evil Requiem with this GPU. To redeem it, you have to use the NVIDIA app. So I installed the NVIDIA app, put the code in, clicked redeem, and it says, oh, it doesn't work anymore. I was like, what? I had to speak to customer service, and they basically just said, yep, it's just the system's broken. And apparently from the day the game came out, the redeem system was just broken. They didn't even say they didn't have any keys. They actually told me they still had keys. It was just the redeem system had broken somehow. So they were trying to fix it. Eventually I clearly got it because I've made videos about it. But for a few days it just didn't work. I used the NVIDIA app a little bit to do my drivers that time. And then the NVIDIA app kept constantly reading all of my hard drives. Just constantly. And apparently it's a thing so it can help optimize your games. And I'm like, yeah, but I actually don't want you to optimize my games. I want you to just not do anything, preferably. So I've just ended up uninstalling it. And I'll just install the drivers manually. It's just been a real mixed bag. Like, my computer runs better, is quieter, I'm getting better performance in my games, but I'm getting random black screens and worse render times. So just like, it's a mix of like good things and bad things, and I don't know if it's really worth it, especially not for the price, but I'm kind of glad I got it before the price went up. Hopefully this will last me a few years anyway, but I don't know. I'm not sure I could recommend it. I'm just not sure if it was worth it, but I guess we'll see. Fist of the North Star is getting to the end now. There's 10 or 11 chapters, and I'm partway through chapter 8 now. There's a lot of sub-stories left to do though, because despite them being available in earlier chapters, like a lot of them were available in chapter 6, they're all like locked behind certain things like being at the right time of day or being on your own and being able to go out into the wasteland alone and things like that. And the game forces you into positions where you can't do them a lot of the time, and it's really annoying because it's also like there's no like explanation when it's going to happen. It's not clear at all. So like there was one sub-story I took, which was to find arcade machines in the wasteland. You take the quest, I got a treasure map, I went and found the arcade machine and came back and the guy just wasn't there, and I have no idea why, because it didn't involve leaving the town. It didn't do anything once I actually managed to give it to him, because it just says do it again, basically. But that was just locked out. I just couldn't do that. There was another one with a guy called Big B, where I could do the first one, and weirdly, I could do the first one, and then I walked away, and it appeared on the minimap to say I could do the next one. But I went and saved, and then when I came back, it was gone. It's just weird. So it's just like really frustrating. So I'm doing a lot of chapter 6s in chapter 8, and then there's also ones from chapter 5 that I couldn't finish until I was in chapter 6, but I couldn't finish them in chapter 6 because of the situation like that, and then I can finish those in chapter 8 now. There's the bartending minigame, where you have to do the bartending to do sub-stories, but sometimes you'll do the bartending minigame and it doesn't trigger the sub-story, and it's just, there's a lot of stuff like that. It's really frustrating. I finished the hostess minigame, which at first I really didn't like, but it turns out it was easier than I thought. In the normal Yakuza games, it pauses time when you select your hostess, and in this one it doesn't, and that really threw me the first time, but it turns out it was a lot simpler than I thought it was going to be. I was trying to select the hostess and then take him to the place, and it turns out if you select the space, it just chooses the hostess like basically straight away, so it was way easier there. But that is tied to another sub-story where you have to earn 100 million IDL to give to someone, and there's nearly 50 missions in that, and I did every mission and didn't even earn 10 million. So I don't think I'm ever going to do that 100 million one. I don't think I'm going to finish the one I was mentioning earlier with the arcade machines either, because it's tied to getting a random drop from fights. You do a fight, get a random drop, go into the wasteland, and then have a chance of it being one of the arcade machines. And I'm like 20 hours into the game, and I've seen 2 treasure maps total. And there's like 5 arcade machines to get. And of those 2 treasure maps, 1 was an arcade machine. So I don't think I'm ever going to finish that either. There's the one where you're buying things from a shop and then selling things to the different shop and that's just fucking boring, to be honest. I might do it if I can be bothered, but I need money for that. It's almost certainly my least favourite of the Ryuga Gotoku games, like the games made by them, that I've played. It's not terrible, but there's just like so many design choices in it where I'm just like, why is it like this? I don't know, I'm just not particularly enjoying it. It's fine, I'll finish it, obviously, but I don't know, I just don't think it's a particularly strong game. I have decided that I'll be doing Judgment next, which does mean it'll be even longer until Yakuza 7, but I've been doing them mostly in release order, so I have to. I also actually have to buy them because there's some of the few games that I don't already own, which isn't a big deal, but I think it's the vast majority of other Yakuza games I've gotten through Humble Bundle, and then they just never gave out Judgment, so I'll have to buy them. RuneScape is going to carry on, but I'm not sure how. What I mean by that is, on the 15th, the leagues are starting, and I'm really interested in playing it, but I'm not sure how. I want to make videos about it, but I don't know if I want to include those as, like, replace my normal episodes with those, or I was thinking about doing streams, but there's a lot of stuff happening in 14 this month. Like, there's a new patch at the end of the month, and then there's other bits in between, like the Moogle event, so I'm not going to want to cancel 14 streams so I can stream RuneScape instead, and I'm not sure. What I might do is I might just record the first bit just to see what it's like, and then if I really enjoy it, I might just record more of it and then figure out what to do with it after that. It's going to be weird because like almost everything in League 6 is stuff I've not done before. Like I've spent about 5 minutes in Varlamore. It's just going to be weird to do. But yeah, I'm not sure what sort of content I'm going to do about it, but I am going to. I guess while I'm talking about it, I will mention that they raised the price for the membership and I've cancelled my membership. Now, I bought a year of it in January and I was going to cancel it anyway, but I cancelled it when they raised the price because I already couldn't really justify paying for 2 MMOs at the same time, and the fact that RuneScape is now more expensive than my 14 sub. I think it already was, wasn't it? I think it didn't quite work out as, but now it actually works out as more expensive than my 14 sub is, and that's just kind of ridiculous. I just don't think that's reasonable. Especially not when half the reason is because you get RuneScape 3 with it, but I don't play RuneScape 3. I will play a very small amount of RuneScape 3, but probably never as a video because it's on an account I've had since like 2012. So I've done a lot of stuff in it already. So I might just go and have a look at how my inventory is because my account got hacked at one point and then I got it back, but I've never played it since I got it back. So I don't know how it's different. I assume they've just like emptied my bank and that, but I don't know. But yeah, I don't think they should raise the price. I don't think that's reasonable, to be honest. Like I say, it's more expensive than 14 is now, and 14 is, I think, better value. I don't know, 14 is definitely a better story. But anyway, there'll be more of everything. I'm just not sure how, and I'll decide a bit closer to when the leagues comes out. Special thanks to all of my patrons. You can join them over at patreon.com/Holden Gatsby, and for $1 a month you'll get to see what I'm working on early, wallpapers for all of my LPs, exclusive roles on my Discord, and any other rewards I might think of. You can also just follow me there if you want to for free, as it's probably the best place to see all of my content as soon as it's available. There's links to the Patreon, along with my Discord, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Twitch, and all the other podcast platforms in the description for this episode. Finally, don't forget you can email me using podencastby@gmail.com if you've got anything you want to say. Thanks for sticking around. Bye. Special thanks to my patrons, Justin Wood and Koopy Vegeta. Take your place in the free market over at patreon.com/Holden Gatsby. Check out my Instagram, TikTok and Twitter at Holden Gatsby, and follow me on Twitch at twitch.tv/Holden Gatsby. Don't forget to subscribe to all of my channels. If you want more, you can watch my last video now, but if not, then thanks for sticking around. Bye.